What about all the cuts he's made to public education and healthcare?
I just think that, there's more important things, honestly.
So this weekend, Ontario Premier Doug Ford held Ford Fest, which is exactly what it sounds like. A festival that celebrates Doug Ford. Now, I have to show you this video that Tina Yazdani and her cameraman shot. So this is she's a reporter for City News Toronto, and she did fantastic work on the ground. She interviewed one of Doug Ford's supporters who happened to be wearing a MAGA hat, and it's as embarrassing as it sounds. Watch.
What's her to say bad? Like, what? I don't see why people can say bad things about him. He's, helping us.
What about all the cuts he's made to public education and healthcare?
I just think that, there's more important things, honestly. In my eyes, there's more important things. I feel like we could, I don't know. The cuts are the cuts. I think some of them weren't the greatest idea. But other than that, I think he's great. I think that Doug is just, I think he's real, and I think he's here to help.
All right. Now, look, this guy clearly doesn't know anything. So I have an issue with really going in on people who are this effing stupid. Because on one hand, I mean, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not sure if shame works when it comes to people this dumb. I think when someone's this dumb, there is a potential you can educate them and get them up to speed on what is actually going on. I mean, his comment there that, well, other than the cuts, well, Doug Ford he's great. He's helping people. Okay, let me play this clip of one of my recent videos where I break down not even all the cuts, but a lot of the cuts, or at least some of the cuts that Doug Ford has made. And yeah, I think this kind of speaks for itself. Why do people hate Doug Ford and this progressive conservative party? Here is a sampling of what this government has done in just a year. Frozen public sector wage increases at 1%. Reversed $500 million in municipal funding. Cut annual funding for stem cell research. Cut an unclear amount of funding from violence against women shelter services. Cut health policy and research funding. Cut $1 billion from Toronto Public Health over the next 10 years. Cut all legal aid for refugee and immigration cases and 30% of the general legal aid budget. Cut free tuition for low-income students. Cut $25 million in funding for specialized school programs. Cancelled rent control in new buildings, 3 provincial watchdog positions, and more. Cancelled labor reform, Bill 148, which included cancelling an increase on the minimum wage as well as cancelling 2 paid sick days. Cancelled the Green Ontario Fund. Cancelled $100 million in funding for school repairs. During the campaign, Doug Ford said that under our government, not a single person will lose their job. But of course, Doug Ford is a liar. He cut thousands of full-time teaching positions, and breaking, the Ontario government is laying off 400 people and cutting another 400 vacant jobs as it merges healthcare agencies. But don't worry. He also canceled a planned surtax on the wealthy, worth $275 million a year in revenue. So while Doug Ford is going around saying we have no money for anything, we have to make all these cuts, he handed over $275 million a year to the wealthiest people in Ontario. But there's more important things. Oh, other than the cuts, there's more important things. More important things than public education, healthcare, and all the other cuts that Doug Ford has instituted. More important things like beer. And I'm not joking. From August of last year, buck of beer, Doug Ford announces plan to bring back $1 brews back to Ontario. From October last year, Doug Ford freezes beer tax that was set to rise a penny a bottle in November. from April. Ford's plan for convenience store beer could cost Ontario taxpayers big money. Yes, the more important thing than public education and healthcare is beer. I mean, if there was something else, I assume this kid would have mentioned it. But he doesn't actually know what's been going on. So look, when it comes to educating people like this, I think it's unlikely he's going to see this video, but educate yourself, please. Please, before you embarrass yourself anymore. Because this is the kind of thing where it's not hard, man. Just like look it up. Like understand what is actually going on here. Understand why Doug Ford is hated so much. But look, the actual reality is that he's probably, I mean, he's wearing a MAGA hat, right? So he's probably taken in by the cultural BS that he assumes is going on. Like, oh, the feminists are taking over. Oh, the LGBT community want to turn us all gay. I mean, that's likely what is actually going on in this kid's mind. I'm sure his life is fine. He looks like he doesn't look like he's struggling. I'm sure he was born into money. I'm sure he's doing just fine. But because of that, he also apparently hasn't experienced what life is like for most people, and hasn't taken the steps to actually educate himself on what's going on. So when it comes to talking to people like this, there is a way you can educate them without shaming them. Because oftentimes what shame can do is shut them down and make people like this just completely turn off because you made them feel stupid. So try not to make them feel too stupid. Though it's hard, try not to make them feel too stupid. But at the same time, we also have to acknowledge very incredibly ignorant people like this is exactly why Doug Ford is the premier right now. Even though Ford his party only won 40% of the vote, and because of our first past the post system, with 40% of the vote, he was able to form a majority government. I mean, that is a broken electoral system, but that's how the system operates. So if you added the NDP, the votes for the NDP, the Liberals, and the Greens together, the parties that are all more left-wing, they amounted to almost 1 million more votes than Doug Ford's PC party got. But that isn't how the system works. So I don't want to harp too much on that, but understand here that even from the beginning, Doug Ford did not have a majority of the voter support in Ontario. But again, if you come across somebody this ignorant, try not to make them feel too stupid and just educate them on why you don't like Doug Ford or whatever the issue is. Educate them on your view and why you have the view that you have. Because oftentimes that all you need to do is plant a seed, and that can plant a seed in the minds of these sorts of ignorant individuals.